Welcome back. Welcome everyone. Let's look at more into real number system. So let's look at the very important property of set of rational numbers. Okay. So the name of the property is um, let's write down that rationals are dense in R. Let's use a nice pen to kind of highlight this thing so that we remember this. Yes, it's a very important property. So let's kind of do that. Okay, so what does it say is given any two, given a comma b in R, given any two real numbers such that a is less than b, there exists a rational number, right, R in Q such that a is less than R less than b. Okay, so between any two real numbers you can find one rational, therefore infinitely many rationals. Okay, that's the property we are dealing with. Let's try to prove this. So proof, let's do this. So proof. So since a is less than b, this would imply that b minus a is a positive real number. Therefore, by Archimedean property, there exists a n natural number, right, such that what would happen is b minus a would be bigger than 1 over n, right? Or in other words, this would imply that n times b minus a would be bigger than 1, right? So let I'm taking my k to be greatest integer of n times a, right? Greatest integer function of this is greatest integer of na, okay, n times a, and m equal to k plus 1, right? So if I draw it on a number line, let's draw it somewhere. Okay, so my a, if my a is here, okay, then n times a would be somewhere, I mean n is a natural number, so obviously it would be a bigger number than a, so n times a would be somewhere here. So n times a would be somewhere here, and since uh, yeah, that's fine. And if I look at the greatest integer of that, it would be somewhere in between, right? Less than that, less than or equal to that. But yeah, so let's mark my, okay, so let me mark this as the greatest integer of na, right? And so that I can save space, and my na is hanging out somewhere here. Okay, and since this is bigger than ka, right, bigger than this, right, plus 1, right, therefore what will happen is this m would be somewhere here. So let me use some different color to that, right? It's bigger than na, so my m is somewhere here. Okay, so let's look at this one. So I'm assuming I'm letting k to be equal to na, and I'm taking m to be whatever this integer would be. You add 1 to that, you get k plus 1. Okay, right? So what happens is, note that Note that, right? What happens is if I look at NA, this is a bigger number than, note that NA, right? NA is bigger than, sorry, if I look at NA, it's smaller than M, because NA is this, right? Isn't it? And if I look at N times A, it's a bigger number than, smaller number than M, so this would be less than M. Therefore, what happens is this N becomes less than um, M by N, right? It would be less than M by, sorry, it's a mistake. Yes, it's a bigger number than, right? Just take M down, what you get is this. This is clear because my K is greatest integer of NA, and then I take M to be plus one of that, so that's kind of fine. I hope that's clear. M would be a bigger number than N times A, right? Uh, so therefore I get, this is a, note the fact that this is uh, a integer, right? And this anyway is a natural number, right? So we have a integer upon natural number form, okay, right? So next up we claim that, so next we claim that next up we claim that M is less than N times B, okay, so that M by N becomes, and the rational number we are looking for is this, okay. Suppose otherwise, this is not true, that means M is bigger than or equal to N times B, right? Therefore what will happen is 1 can be written as K plus 1 minus K, right? Now I know the fact that K plus 1 from here, this is my K plus 1. K plus 1 is bigger than NA, right? This is bigger than, yeah, it's bigger than, so I know that K plus 1 from here, this is K plus 1, right? So this is my K plus 1. This is bigger than or equal to, K plus 1 is bigger than or equal to NB, right? Negative, I know that K is nothing but N, greatest integer of NA, right? I know that this is always less than, greatest integer of any number is always less than or equal to NA, right? Therefore, if I multiply negative on both sides, what will happen is minus NA, right? Isn't it? Becomes less than or equal to minus K, right? In other words, minus K becomes bigger than or equal to minus NA. So from here, what I get is, so this is N, by the way, capital N, right? This is also capital N. So from here, what I get is this is bigger than NB minus this capital N. I've just misplaced it to a small n, okay. So this is bigger than or equal to capital NB, right, minus capital NA. This is also capital N. I have made a mistake everywhere, okay. So this is equal to N if I take to be common, then what I get is B minus A, right? But this is from here, if I look at, this is strictly bigger than 1, right? Therefore what I get is 1, which is, therefore 1 is greater than 1, which is a contradiction, right? Which is a contradiction, right? Therefore what happens is M is strictly less than capital NB, therefore M by N becomes less than B. Therefore since A is less than B and B is less than C, by trichotomy of real numbers, A becomes less than M by N, that is less than B. Since M belongs to Z, N is a natural number, right? Therefore, m by n belongs to Q. M by n belongs to Q rather, right? Therefore, what I get is, therefore, A is less than R less than B, right? Where R B equal to m by n belongs to Q, right? So, given any two real number, you can always construct a rational number in between. So let's kind of look at next theorem. Okay. What do we have is we have already seen that given between any two numbers, real numbers rather, I can always find a rational, right? So let's look at this one. Let a comma b belongs to R, right? With the condition that a is less than b, then there exists t not belonging to Q, right? Oh, sorry, I'm mistake. There exists t not in Q. It's not a rational number. It's obvious. I mean, obviously, it's irrational, right? So the proof is very much simple. Um, so um, we have a less than b, right? So consider what I do is I subtract square root of 2 from both sides. Square root of 2 is a real number rather. So if I subtract square root of 2 on both sides, the inequality will remain the same, right? B minus root 2, right? So from here what happens is this is like, from here what I get is a would be less than uh, uh, okay. So before this, what I know is, okay, before going to this, so this is a real number, this is a real number, right? Therefore, by density of rationals in R, we get in R implies that there exists R in Q such that a minus square root of 2 less than R less than b minus square root of 2, right? B minus square root of 2. This would imply that a would be less than R plus square root of 2 would be less than b, right? What is my claim? We claim that R plus square root of root 2 belongs to Q complement. That means it doesn't belong to Q. For otherwise, so if it's not irrational, then the only choice, if it's irrational, if it's not irrational rather, then what should happen is it must be irrational, right? For otherwise, let R plus square root of 2 belongs to Q. I must get some kind of contradiction. Okay, this would imply that R plus root 2, right, is equal to some S, right, which belongs to Q. This implies root 2 would be equal to R minus S or S minus R, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, S minus R, right? This belongs to Q. But we know that root 2 is irrational, right? Why? Root. We know that root 2 is irrational, right? Therefore, it's a contradiction. Hence, root 2 does not belong to Q, right? Which is a contradiction. Which is a contradiction. Therefore, S is equal to R plus square root of root 2 belongs to Q complement, right? Isn't it? So what happens is this, therefore given any a comma b in R, there exists R plus square root of root 2 in Q complement, right? R is a rational, of course, such that A would be less than S, less than, let me use this, okay, less than B, right? Where S is nothing but R plus square root of root 2, right? Hence the proof. So I've just used the fact that root 2 is irrational. Please make sure that you have a proof why root 2 is irrational. It's not that difficult. One can try to show that root 2 is irrational. We've been doing this, I suppose, to show that root 2 is irrational. Kindly do that. So next up, let's look at what are the intervals. So let's look at what are the intervals which we have seen so far. Okay, so let's define what's an interval. Okay, all right. A subset J of R, right, is set to be an interval if for any a comma b in J and x in R such that a is less than x less than b, then x also belongs to J. Any real number between a and b, are belonging to the subset J, then what should happen is J also belongs to x also belongs to J. That is, for any, so let us write this in terms of mathematical quantifiers. Okay, that is for all a comma b in J, right? Isn't it? And for all x in J, right, such that a less than x less than b, right, implies x belongs to J, right? So let me write a remark here. Singleton is an interval for every a in R. If you collect singleton A, well, for any a in R, it's an interval. So use this definition to show this. Okay. Okay. So let's look at the types of intervals which we would encounter. So let's use some different pen. Okay. Types of intervals. This doesn't look good. Let's change my pen to orange. Okay. So the very first type of interval we would see is okay. So before that, before in hand, let's look at this. Okay. So let a comma b belongs to R such that a is less than b, right? So what are the types of intervals which we see? Where the very first one is the closed interval, right? By definition, this is set of all x in R, right? All the real numbers which lies between a and b, all the real numbers which lies between a and b, including a and b. Okay, and this is called as closed interval in R, right? Okay, then let's look at more. Second, a comma b, right? This is defined as set of all real numbers such that a is less than x less than b, right? All the real numbers between a and b excluding a and b is called as open interval in R. Okay, good. Let's look at the third one. Third type of interval is half open, right? Right open, left closed. This is set of all x in R such that a is less than x, less than or equal to b. That means all the numbers between a and b where x does not take the value a but x is allowed to take value b is called as left open, left open interval, left open interval, or right close, whatever you want to say. Good. Then fourth one, left close, right open. Okay, this is set of all x in R such that a is less than or equal to x, less than b, right? Is called as right open interval or left close, whatever it is in R. Then we have array, right? Left array we can call them. So let me use another pen here to highlight this. Okay, so fifth one is something like this. We have closed a comma infinity, right? So this is set of all x in R such that x is bigger than or equal to a, right? Is a closed interval, right? This is a closed interval, right? Wherever this is infinity means all the numbers on the right of a, right? In R, it's a closed interval in R, right? Then sixth one, let's look at the sixth one. A comma infinity, this is defined as set of all x in R such that x is bigger than a, right? Is open interval in R, right? Then seventh one, let's look at the seventh one. What we have is seventh, right? We have negative infinity and b closed, right? This is set of all x in R such that x is less than or equal to b, right? Is closed interval in R, right? Then let's look at the eighth one. Oh God, eighth one, right? We have something like this, minus infinity and b open. This is set of all x in R such that x is strictly less than b, right? Is open interval in R. And the final one is the last one is well, ninth one is, oh well, there are more. Wait, if I look at minus infinity comma infinity, this is my entire R. Okay, the entire set of real numbers, right? The 10th one is minus infinity, sorry, a comma a, this is empty, right? And 11th one, if I look at closed a comma a, this is singletony. Okay, so these are all the intervals and their types in. Okay, so this is what one should know, what are the types of intervals and so on, right? Well, right, let's look at the following examples based on intervals. The following problem. Well, I'll be doing one of them, and I would expect you all to do the rest. So examples, right? Draw a line here so that
The first one, rather, okay, is example. But what we have is if jn's are of the form a minus 1 by n and b plus 1 by n, then what should happen is, then if I intersect them arbitrary, that means I take all j1 intersection j2 and so on, what happens is I get back the closed interval economy. So first of all, before proving this, let's see that this is true. So so if I kind of take my a b is here, right? Then every time I add 1 by n to this, I would go on, right, till up till b plus 1, right? And here I will get a minus 1, right? And this is the very first interval I will have, right? If I put n equal to 1, then this will be a minus 1 and b plus 1. And as I go on putting a equal to whatever it is and taking n to be, going on, what will happen is I will reach a from this side and I will reach b from this side. The smallest interval which will be contained inside this, in other words, would be nothing but a closed interval a comma b, is what we have to prove. So let's solve this. The very first part is pretty much easy. So let x belongs to this is too trivial. If x belongs to a comma b, this would imply that a is less than or equal to x, less than or equal to b, right? And if I look at this one, this would be this everything here, right? Note that, note that b is always less than or equal to b plus 1 by n, right? For every n in n, right? Therefore, what will happen is, and a would be uh, bigger than a minus 1 by n, because you are subtracting something positive number here, right? So what will happen is this would be true. Therefore, what I get is, therefore, uh, and here, but somewhere we'll mention this is less than, has to be less than. What we get is uh, a minus 1 by n, that would be less than or equal to, from here, x, that would be less than or equal to b, and that would be less than or equal to b plus 1 by n. Therefore, what happens is a minus 1 by n becomes less than or equal to x, becomes less than or equal to b plus 1 by n. Therefore, what happens is x belongs to, and this is true for every n in n, right? This both are true for every n in n, right? So x belongs to a minus 1 by n, b plus 1 by n for closed for every n in n. Therefore, what happens is x belongs to the intersection of n in n, jn, I can just say, right? Therefore, what happens is this a comma b becomes a subset of n in n jn. Because I started the element here, it's here, and this was an arbitrary element. For every element, I can do this argument, right? So this becomes a subset of. Uh, let's look at the other way now. What would we get? What would we get if I assume the other way? So let's do other way. Let x belongs to intersection n in n jn. This means that x belongs to jn for every n in n, right? This means that a minus 1 by n would be less than or equal to x, less than or equal to a plus 1 by n. Sorry, it's b plus 1 by n, right? b plus 1 by n for every n in n, right? My claim is x belongs to a comma b, right? Let us contradict this statement. Suppose x does not belong to a comma b, right? So if I draw it here somewhere, A is here, B is here. If it's not here, then it must be either here or it must be either here, right? So this implies either X is less than A or X is bigger than B, right? Both ways I will get a contradiction. Let's see how. Suppose X is less than A, okay? And I will assume here that suppose X is less than B. Like both ways I will get a contradiction. This would imply that B minus X would be positive. Therefore, by Archimedean property, right? And for any positive number, you can apply Archimedean property. There exists n in n, right? N1, let me use n1 in n, such that B minus X would be bigger than 1 by n. Or this would imply that if I just bring 1 by n, this X is less than A, and A, right? So correction. This is A minus X, right? Bigger than 0. Therefore, A minus X would be less than or this would mean that if I bring this n this side, X this side, what I get is A minus 1 by n, n1 rather, okay, n1 would be less than X, which is a contradiction. It is a contradiction as why? Why is it a contradiction? Because I'm assuming that from this part, right, X is bigger than or equal to A minus 1 by n for every n, but from here what I get is oh man, this is some mistakes I do. What I get is this is A minus 1 by n1 is bigger than X, right? So that's a problem, right? This is a contradiction as X minus 1 by n A minus 1 by n would be less than or equal to X for every n in n, right? By, let me name this as some star, by, hence what happens is X must be bigger than, right, or equal to A, right? This is not possible. Similarly, if X is greater than B, then this would imply that X minus B would be positive, right? Therefore, by again applying Archimedean property, there exists n2 in n such that X minus B would be bigger than 1 by n2, or X would be bigger than B plus 1 by n2, which is again a contradiction, contradiction, right? As X is less than or equal to B plus 1 by n for every n in n, right? By star, right? The second part from here to here, right? By star, hence X has to be less than or equal to B, right? Therefore, from both these, from let me name this as 1 and let me name this as 2. Therefore, from 1 and 2, what I get is A less than or equal to X less than or equal to B, which implies X belongs to comma B. And since X was arbitrary element, this means that intersection n in n, A minus 1 by n comma B plus 1 by n, right, is contained inside A comma B. Therefore, they are equal, right? Therefore, what I can tell you, what I can say is, from the part which we have already done, from here we name this as some 1, right? And let me name this, right? Therefore, from 1 and 2, what happens is A comma B becomes exactly equal to the intersection, right? N in n. So that's what that was about this. I'll leave some exercise for y'all, which you can try. Not difficult on the similar lines. If uh, Jn's are a minus 1 by n, a plus 1 by n, closed. Then if I look at the intersection n in n of Jn's, I must get a singleton a. That's first one. Second one, if Jn's are a comma b plus 1 by n, right? Then what should happen is this intersection n in n, right, of Jn's must give me the closed interval. Please try this.